Hey guys, Toast here, and today I'm going to be bringing you some commentary from some MLD clips that we've been queuing recently, and I hope you enjoy it. Now the first game I'm going to go through is going to be against a comp that's quite popular recently, and that's going to be Warrior, Shadow Priest, and then in this case, Resto Druid. Now I'm going to get my port up the top of the bridge, and then I'm going to go back down and get a gateway, while my mage pushes in to stop them getting to me, and lets me get the gateway. I'm then going to get full dots on the Warrior, and I drew to try to get a fear on the Druid, but it does land on the Warrior instead. So I'm going to put a spell lock onto the Druid. My mage palm rings the Warrior, which he actually does trinket. Now the priest puts a Siphoned, and we're going to choose to swap to the Druid here. My mage deeps him, and I'm going to coil him. And here, we've got a huge amount of pressure, he displaced it. I put a fear onto the priest, and the priest is going to trinket. Now the Warrior got put into a full clone because he did trinket that ring, and we're going to chase this Druid down just to get as much pressure as we can. But we quickly realise he's not going to be dying soon, and I do actually trinket that saw in there and get full clone, which was a mistake on my part. But we have got all their trinkets, and the Warrior's already used his live by the sword, die by the sword, so he's not going to have that. I'm going to get dots spread back onto their team and just try and do as much damage as we can while I CC the Druid. So I put the Druid into a full fear, and they actually get a fear on our Druid here. Now mage could be in a bit of trouble, but he blankets the priest, and I'm going to just try and keep their Druid CC'd so they have to play defensive, because it does look like they're going to be forcing a block here anyway, which they do, but we've got enough pressure that it doesn't really matter too much. Now the Warrior is a bit low, and so is the priest, and the Druid's going to have a difficult time catching up. So the priest actually uses Dispersion, and the Warrior uses Recklessness, Skull Banner, and Avatar, and my mage uses the Demonic Gateway to get away from him for a bit. Now, because he's still dropping, and the Warrior's got cooldowns up, I'm going to coil the Warrior. My mage is going to deep the Druid, and get a sheep off that, and we actually force the Warrior's shield wall here. So they don't really have that many defensive cooldowns left, and because of where the priest is compared to where the Druid is, the priest can't land master spells for CC, so I land the full fear out of that, and we're just going to go on the priest here, and we are actually going to kill him because the priest wasn't able to master spell his Druid out of the CC. Now games like that really do show the power that MLD has once it gets the pressure rolling, but with that in mind, we're going to move on to the next game, which is going to be against a God comp, which is going to be Shadow Priest, Mage, and Holy Paladin. Now we're going to do the same thing. I want to go back down the ramp to get my gateway up, while my mage pushes in a bit, just to stop them getting to me. Now the priest does run in, and he dots me. I get dots on him before he gets his fade off. Then we're going to get dots on the mage, and I'm going to get dots on the mage pet, just because that can be a big thing. Now I'm going to then get dots on the pally as well. And he's going to dispel himself, so he's going to take a little bit of damage, because I am choosing to run with the glyph. My mage does go push in on the pally, and deeps him, and it actually forces Trinket and Aura Mastery solo, but I wasn't able to get in there because I was Novad. It's not too big of a deal because we have got the Mage Trinket and the Paladin Trinket now. Now they swap to our Druid, so I'm just going to coil that Mage just to stop some of his pressure, and he gets his pet back up. Now he does then put a Pom ring down while their Paladin sat in a full ring, and I actually get CS'd on cast, which isn't too big of a deal because it means that my Druid can free cast and so can my Mage, and my casts don't really matter that much, especially in a point like that where we don't have that much pressure. Now Druid lands a full Cyclone on their mage, while the Paladin's in a full sheep, and I'm just getting dots back onto the pet, just so that if that dies it's going to be good. And we land a full bash on the Paladin, and I'm just going to put a bit of damage into him, while their entire team drops, just to make it more difficult to heal. Now I get put into a fear, but my Druid quickly dispels me, and I'm getting dots rolling back onto their team. I can clearly see they're swapping to our Druid, and he actually does just get put into a hodge, and he's going to be okay here, he lets us know that, so we're not going to worry too much about him. Now I push in, and we want to swap back to the pally, so I get my dots back on him. My mage gets a deep, I coil off the deep with a haunt as well, doing a huge amount of damage, and we follow that with a blanket, and the pally just takes a huge amount of damage because the priest master spelled him, which meant he took the damage from my glyph Unstable Affliction, meaning it does about 70k damage. Now I put a fear onto the mage so he couldn't really peel, but he'd already got the ring down, and here we're just trying to recover up for a bit. They put a huge bit of damage into me, so I'm going to kite back with my Druid, while dotting the mage pet just so that that's going to be dropping again. I do get locked on cast, but so I then lock their priest on cast, so it's not too big of a deal. Now our Druid set a silence there, while their paladin gets deeped into a blanket, and we're just going to be putting damage into him because he pushed up to get CC. Now, knowing that he's away, I do swap off him. Now I'm going to dot the mage again, seeing the mage has Pom. It's quite surprising that he's on me, but then our mage tries to spell steal the Pom he got back with all the time. He does manage to do it, and that mage just takes a huge amount of damage here because I get a full fear on their pally, and he's forced to trinket. Now I do then get put into a short fear, but my mage is dropping a bit, and he's forced to block, and I just put a coil onto the priest. But again, that mage uses his counterspell on me, and my mage says that he can probably solo the paladin if he pushes in, even though I couldn't, and that's exactly what he does. Now because the mage CS'd me, it meant my mage could free cast into that paladin, and paladin had no cooldowns left, and my mage had his, so it was absolutely fine for him to push in there on his own and get that kill, especially knowing that the other two were both a bit low and wouldn't have been able to push back into him to try and force him defensive, or even kill him. Now that is going to be it for this video. If you have any questions or feedback, please leave them in the comments below,